Hello, everyone. Welcome to this year's Innovate4Climate Pitch Hub competition. I'm Paula Shim, and I'm the Partnership Coordinator with I4C. Please make sure to mute your audio and turn off your video. You can participate in our live polls by scanning the QR code on the screen with your phone camera, or you can visit slido.com and use the code #pitch2020. This competition is being recorded, and the recording will be available later on the Innovate4Climate website. If you're sharing on social media, please use the hashtags Innovate4Climate or #I4C-PitchHub. Just looking into our audience today, we have some people joining in from the United States, Mexico, South Africa, China, Spain, Saudi Arabia. Please continue to let us know where you're joining from. We'll keep this poll open. The Pitch Hub to give a brief introduction to the Pitch Hub competition, the I4C Pitch Hub competition is an annual competition to engage with startups and entrepreneurs that showcase ingenuity and a clear value proposition. It highlights climate-smart solutions, and it provides a space for entrepreneurs and innovators at I4C. The challenge this year was climate-smart cities. We called for innovative solutions that support cities in becoming more low carbon and/or climate resilient from these different sectors: energy, food or agriculture, mobility or transportation, waste or water, and fintech. This year, we received over 400 applications from all around the world. We had 40 reviewers do several rounds of evaluation and selection, and we have our 5 finalists competing today. I'd like to thank our 2 Pitch Hub partners, Unoodle and the Venture City. So now I'm going to introduce my co-host for this event, Shilpa Prasad, Chief Growth Officer from Unoodle. Unoodle is a partner for a second time in a row for this competition. Unoodle is the largest actionable startup network with over 300,000 startups across 180 countries, vetted and ready to deliver toward social, business, and economic challenges. Thanks to their platform, we were able to engage, connect, and evaluate our finalists. Shilpa, now to you.
Thank you so much, Paula, for that introduction. With Unoodle, our vision has always been to reinvigorate economies, companies, societies at scale by harnessing the power of thousands of startups and entrepreneurs around the world. This competition is a great example of that vision and mission coming to life. So thank you once again for having us partner with the Pitch Hub competition. I do want to touch upon, the that we have all seen over the last three and a half months, from events like these that were largely physical that have moved into the virtual space. So I request our audience to please be patient, please bear with us while we navigate this really dynamic situation in that sense. And incidentally, last year in June, we were all in Singapore, where there was the energy that people coming together can bring about is definitely a miss this year's competition. So welcome everyone, and hopefully you enjoy the show and some really awesome pitches here to sort of go through and walk through. So let's move on to it is a pitch competition. There are startups that are presenting their awesome startups and entrepreneurs that in a moment you will hear from. But let me quickly introduce to you the top 5 startups today. First up is Carbon Checkout, who is from Spain, representing Spain here. Second is Fresh Wanda. No guesses there where they're from. If I could request everyone to mute themselves, please. There is some background noise. Thank you. Third up is A2P Energy from India. Fourth is LifePack from Colombia. And then finally, we have Sadim International from Saudi Arabia. Now, no pitch competition is complete without judges and some really tough questions that will come the founders' way. So let me go ahead and introduce the esteemed panel today. Ryong Kim Welcome, Ryong. This is the second time she's judging for the Pitch Hub competition. I had the pleasure to meet her in person last year in Singapore. Ryong is the Director of Decision Metrics and Finance at EIT Climate Kick, EU's largest public-private partnership aimed at supporting innovation to combat climate change. Ryong holds a PhD in natural resource economics with a strong focus on forests and landscapes, with country experience from the Brazilian Amazon, Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as international development and relief work from East Timor and Aceh, Indonesia. Welcome once again, Ryong, and hope you enjoy it this time around too. Next, we have Dr. Tara Shivani. Dr. Tara Shivani is a green infrastructure specialist, investor, speaker, and millennial advocate. She is passionate about leveraging technology and finance to drive scalable impact to tackle today's global trillion-dollar infrastructure gap needed to fight climate change. She has worked at international financial organizations such as the World Bank, UN, and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, ERPD. In this last one, on advising governments on how to use technology and digital transformation strategies to leapfrog towards an advanced sustainable economy based on circular economy principles. Welcome, Dr. Tara. Next up is Martin Weinstein. Martin Weinstein is the founder and lead scientist at the Yale Open Innovation Lab. He holds appointments as resident fellow at the Center for Business and the Environment at Yale, research associate at the Yale Department of Electrical Engineering, and program manager at the Digital Currency Initiative of the MIT Media Lab. Thinking holistically about big picture sustainability and translating this into innovative entrepreneurial action is by far what he enjoys the most. Welcome, Martin, and I'm sure the entrepreneurs and founders are happy to hear from you. Next up is Vikram Wij. Vikram Wij is a senior advisor at Climate Policy Initiative, where he supports strategy and programmatic development, as well as guides financial aspects of CPI's analytical work. With over 3 decades of leadership experience in climate and development finance, Vikram specializes in bridging public finance with capital markets and investors to drive to a low-carbon, climate-resilient future. He has also served in leadership for climate finance across the World Bank Group. Welcome, Vikram. And then last up, we have Asaf Waraft. He has over 20 years of experience in the tech world and was most recently a partner at Viola Credit, part of Viola Group, Israel's largest multi-strategy tech investment group. During the 7 years with Viola, Asaf worked closely with great companies to provide them with the growth capital needed to reach their next step. Asaf is passionately involved with helping Israel's new generation of entrepreneurs. He serves on the board of Unistream, an education not-for-profit dedicated to improving the lives of children from Israel's periphery through technology. Welcome, all of you, and be kind to the entrepreneurs. This is their first virtual sort of pitch, and hopefully you will get to address your questions and have enough time to understand the projects. And so after this, of course, I want to touch upon the prizes, because no pitch competition is complete without the prizes. This year, there are some exciting prizes lined up for the founders, and what they're competing for is a few different options here. First, all 5 finalists will receive I4C Startup Incubation Bootcamp Program facilitated by the Venture City, a Pitch Hub partner. The top 3 will receive AWS credits worth $60,000. There is an Audience Choice Award as well, and there you will, the startup that gets voted by the audience will have access to B4Planet conference in September. B4Planet is an I4C partner, is a prime global event for sustainability, bringing together international business leaders to discuss and propose solutions to the big challenges currently facing humanity. And finally, select finalists will receive an opportunity to visit Sankalp Africa Summit 2021 and Global Summit 2020. Other awards also include leadership program with Blue Cord Management. So welcome everyone, and let's move on to the actual show that you're all here for. We'll start shortly with the pitches. First up, presenting to us is Carbon Checkout. Carbon Checkout is a software application that harnesses the collective purchasing power of individuals and small businesses to fund renewable energy infrastructure expansion.
My name is Colby Self. I'm the founder and managing director at Carbon Checkout. After more than a decade working on environmental initiatives at the international level, I grew tired of the perpetual regulatory delay while industry and governments negotiated our future. And while these policy instruments may bring about change in 2050, Carbon Checkout was designed to bring change now. Carbon Checkout is a plug-in software application that integrates into existing e-commerce stores, giving millions of individuals like you and I the convenient opportunity to balance the carbon footprint of our online transactions in one click at checkout. We pool these micro contributions into a fund and invest in renewable energy infrastructure on our customers' behalf. We've tested our application with over 2,000 Shopify partners and recently launched an enhanced version of our MVP, which has increased sales by 900% over the past 6 months. We've also added over 330 new partner merchants in that same timeframe. We're currently plug-in compatible with over 20% of all e-commerce sites. As we scale, we'll build compatibility across 2 additional platforms to reach over half of all e-commerce market. With 5% integration at year 3, we project over $41 million in annual revenue, offsetting annual carbon emissions equivalent to closing 2 coal-fired power plants each year. We have unique domain expertise in environmental and carbon markets. We've also been on the cutting edge of e-commerce, with our lead developer having honed his skills while working for the tech giant in Silicon Valley. Our team has gained the confidence of many throughout our journey, from Startup Chile in Santiago to the European Innovation Council in Brussels to Desalada in Spain, raising €90,000 in equity-free capital to date. We're currently raising €250,000 to grow our development team in Europe and scale product compatibility across platforms. Building on our past startup ventures, we're excited about the opportunities in front of us.
Thank you very much for that. It's definitely unnerving to go first in a competition like this. So thanks, Colby. Vikram, can I call upon you to have some questions if you have some questions for Colby?
Great. Yes. Thank you, Colby. That's a great presentation and a good concept. I have many questions for you, but before I go there, I'll only go with one to give the others an opportunity, but all the best to you. Let me ask you a quick question around offsets, which is what you're buying and then integrating into retail operations. We know from past experience that offsets don't directly drive investment per se. So what and where are these projects that you're buying offsets from, and what impact on actually facilitating or extending these investments are you seeing already or hope to see with your engagement with them? Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram, for the question. I understand that you have a lot of experience in this market in reading your bio, so thank you for the detailed question. So first, the type of projects that we're investing in, they are third-party verified by either the Climate Action Reserve, the Verified Carbon Standard, the Clean Development Mechanism, the Gold Standard, and so on. And of course, we're working in the voluntary market as opposed to the compliance market. The projects we're investing in are large-scale utility wind infrastructure, predominantly working with Acciona, which is the largest all renewable energy company in the world. They're based in Madrid. Can we drive innovation? Can we drive investment towards renewables? We think we can, because we're tapping into a resource that hasn't been investing in renewables, and this is the individual consumer. So the market has largely been dominated by industry and businesses, under the Kyoto Protocol and other mandates. What we're trying to do is drive investment from micro contributions at the individual level. And what we're seeing is people want to participate. So simply by making it convenient for them, we're seeing an uptake. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colby. Rion, you have a question for Colby as well?
Absolutely. Thank you for the presentation. This is really interesting. My question was about, you mentioned renewable energy in your pitch and also the video, and I can think in the text you had reference to carbon sequestration. So my question is, I mean, I like the idea that you are, trying to crowdfund this space, but why the focus on renewables, and why not particularly on financing those areas which are potentially harder to finance?
I know you have a lot of experience in forestry, and we're not investing in forestry offsets. And the reason for that is much of my background in the policy environment has been on waste prevention. So I helped, author a waste prevention manual for the Basel Convention Secretariat. So my mind is always looking at how do we prevent those emissions from actually getting into the atmosphere, rather than how do we sequester those emissions that are out there. And forestry is a good way to do that. There are other mechanisms to do that. But I'm really focused on preventing the emissions and investing in the infrastructure for our future.
Thanks, Colby. We do have time for one more question. So Tara, you had a question for Colby as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Colby. I had two questions. One, how come you're only focusing on e-commerce? We've seen quite a few of these carbon offset schemes in other sectors, such as aviation in particular. I'm curious why you're only looking at e-commerce. And secondly, there's been a lot of bad press, as Vikram is also saying, around carbon offsetting, because there is a lot of issues around double counting. And more actually companies are getting a lot of pushback as well, because there's a difficulty of verifying their authenticity. Have you also considered the use of blockchain technology for verifying the origins of these carbon offsets?
Yes, thank you, Tara, for the question. I think first, the reason why we're focusing on e-commerce is because we're seeing the retail marketplace move online. With COVID-19, e-commerce has continued to grow despite a lot of storefronts closing down. So they're looking at $3.5 trillion industry last year. Just in 2 years' time, that's going to be a $6.5 trillion industry. So we see a tremendous trajectory and an opportunity to get in front of a lot of people very quickly. In terms of the authenticity of carbon offsets, yes, it has definitely been a wild west in the past. And I think things are getting a lot better with the third-party verifications, which we're continuing to use. But blockchain technology, we did an extensive research into actually incorporating that into our tool. It's something we'd like to do, but it's not kind of our core MVP component. And there are others like APX and Market that are going to start bringing this in, and they have deep pockets and a lot of capital to do that. So we'll likely, trail them and try to lead the e-commerce market on sales.
Thanks, Colby. We're out of time, but thank you for that, and hopefully, Tara, you got some part of your question answered at least. All right. Well, thanks very much, and a big round of virtual applause for Colby. Moving. Next up is a startup called FreshBox Rwanda, and this startup is building modular off-grid and solar-powered cold chain solutions to reduce post-harvest food loss in Rwanda and other developing nations. The founder that we're going to hear from today, his name is Abhinav Gautam. Welcome, Abhinav.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Abhinav, CEO and co-founder of FreshBox. Meet David. He's a large-scale farmer in Rwanda. For every 10 tomatoes he harvests, 5 of them are lost due to improper storage, and another one is lost due to improper transportation. So from 10 tomatoes, we only end up with 4 on your plate, and up to 60% post-harvest losses. This leads up to 25% potential income loss for farmers, higher CO2 emissions due to imported food cargo, and limits the growth of local agro-processors due to inconsistent supply of produce. This is where FreshBox comes in. We have created an efficient supply chain with better storage and transportation. A major part of our operations are solar-powered, energy-efficient cold rooms that we have created to extend the freshness of fruits and vegetables up to 21 days. Hence, we can reduce the post-harvest losses to only 10%. We work with two business models. One is a pay-as-you-go service for larger farmers like David. And for smaller farmers, we work on a profit-sharing model where we create market access for them by linking to our network of agro-processors. Rwanda's agriculture sector is growing, yet our competitors do not provide a one-stop solution. We're raising $50,000 to run a pilot this summer and work with over 500 Rwandan farmers through our partners. I'm Abhinav, leading a team of passionate agriculture and engineering experts. We work on reducing post-harvest losses with a solution that can be scaled across Africa. This will allow local agro-processing industry to grow, lower our carbon footprint with higher food security, and increase incomes for millions of farmers that now can be used to save, expand their farming, and send their children to school, including for David. Trust me, he's much happier now. We're excited to be here for the I4C pitch competition and looking forward to talking to you. We are FreshBox, fresh from farm to fork.
Thank you, Abhinav. And just a quick reminder, we do have 5 minutes on the clock in terms of Q&A. So, Mark, you have some questions for Abhinav.
I can go. Hi, Abhinav. Thank you very much for sharing that, and congrats on the project. I have a couple of questions, and the first one is around how do you calculate the baseline for losses over time so that you can show the delta of your impact. The second one is how sensitive is where you position your cold storage units that are not as mobile as some of your transportation units in regards to where the produce is coming from. And in that vein, one of my big questions is, have you thought about a digital platform that integrates your competitors rather than you going to compete with people that are already doing that, but also create a marketplace between all the distributed cold storages around a specific region and allow that triage to happen around which storage is closer by?
Yes, so those are really wonderful questions. A lot of great questions on the, so the way we're trying to do the metrics, we're working with a partner who is working through multiple farmers, over 500 farmers. And the farmers usually know how much is harvested and then what are they able to produce. And then we're trying to take that number and then track how much of their produce actually ends up in our cold rooms. And then over the time, once we're running pilots, to see what's the delta also on changes throughout the months and the years, not only for us to forecast better of what they're harvesting, but then to see if we're able to actually reduce their losses. Yes, right now we're working with cold storage close to the farm with a partner where we can use it as a aggregation or collection center. And then the goal is also to use our cold storage in this capital city. Rwanda is pretty small, so it does gives us a little bit of leeway of not having too many cold rooms all over the country because transportation is fast. We're definitely open to working with other players. That's initially how we started with wholesalers, but then the subscription model wasn't really working out for them in this country specifically due to their margins. So we have expanded our services rather than just a subscription model, which people can still use, but then it's also to work together as more of a logistics platform. Hope that answers it well.
Thank you, Abhinav. Asaf? Do you have any questions for Abhinav?
Hi, Abhinav. So you mentioned you're developing your own cold facilities. So can you expand a little bit about what makes them special? Is there special technology that's cheap or better or more efficient? And then the second question is, I think you're mixing between a service and a product. So how do you see that developing going forward? I mean, are you going to rent or sell these cooling facilities, or are you going to also take care of the whole food chain, supply chain to
That's a really great question. That's something we have been thinking for the past couple of months as well. The reason we started working on our own cold rooms was that, hey, for the size, we do about 5 metric tons capacity. that similar cold room is about $25,000 to import into Rwanda, where we can start as low as $5,000 to create ourselves using the materials. Some of the technology is off the shelf for some of the hardware, but then also we are creating our own software backend that tracks the temperature and humidity. And the bigger main reason is that the way we run our cold room and the technology is 40% more efficient than traditional cold rooms. So not only have a lower electricity usage, good for the climate, but then also this is something that can easily and much better run on solar power. So it makes it much better for rural and off-grid places. Yes, it is a product, and also to see how we sell it as a service. We originally started working with exporters to just rent it out as a service or even a product that somebody could build. But then we think since the cost is still sometimes expensive for most of the players, they may not be straightforward buying these cold rooms, and we can come on a better revenue sharing or a subscription model that makes it more accessible, whether they're smaller farmers or big farmers like David.
Thank you, Abhinav. Any other questions, judges, for Abhinav?
We got one more.
Okay. Well, looks like no more questions, Abhinav. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
All right. Well, next up is A2P Energy. And Sukhmeet Singh, the founder of A2P Energy, is here today to present his startup to us. A2P Energy is resolving the paddy straw burning problem in India by putting up sustainable projects for converting the straw into useful products like energy and soil conditioners. Welcome, Sukhmeet, and we'll hear from him in a moment.
Hello everybody, I'm Sukhmeet. I'm the founder of the company A2P Energy based in India. Every year in North India, 35 million tons of farm waste is generated. Most of it gets burned on the field. This burning causes serious air pollution in whole of North India. Delhi, which is the capital of India, has become the most polluted capital in the city. Also, the smog generated because of the farm waste causes serious damage to the lungs of kids and the elderly. What we do is we have made an AI algorithm which can identify farm waste from Google satellite images, and then we work with farmers and help them convert them to farmer entrepreneurs to collect the farm waste. Once the waste is collected, we convert that into different biofuels. Our first generation biofuels helped us to replace the fuel in the industrial boilers. Our next generation biofuels, which is green coal and oil, the green coal we are able to replace the coal in the thermal power plants. The gas and oil will be able to power a standalone building or a village using biomass as a source. We are working with UNDP on this. We started this initiative in 2018. We have established 2 new plants in the short time period. Now the next year target is to expand into 5 new plants and also work on the advanced biofuels. Each plant is able to cover an acreage of 2,000 acres and also work with 200 farmers and help them raise their income. The industrial fuel market just in India is $84 billion, and our target is expanded to whole of Asian countries. This all has been possible by our excellent team with having more than 100 years of experience in scaling up social ventures, working on R&D, and also raising successful startups. We are also being tweeted with PM's office and Vice President of India's office. Our target next year is to raise 2.6 million, introduce a new green fuel technologies, and replace the fossil fuels in the thermal power plants. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukhmeet. There's definitely a few questions coming your way. We have Riyong first. Riyong?
Thank you, Sukhmeet, for the pitch. So my question was more about the scalability and replicability of what you do into other different countries. Could you tell a little bit about that?
So thanks, Riyong. We have thought about the problem. The problem is so big that as a one company, we can't solve this problem. So we had made a strategy very consciously that what we will do is we will establish, take the technologies from R&D institutes, do our own R&D, and establish few plants of our own until we get the technology piece right and also make it as a black box for a franchisee model. So what we are trying to do now is we have established 2 full-scale plants. Now we are establishing full-scale franchisee models for replicating in whole of North India. Then idea is to go to the whole of India. And this problem of stubble burning is very, very serious in whole lot of Asian countries. So then we want to go to the next set of countries. So everything, the new technologies, advancement is happening in parallel, and those which are matured, we are trying to replicate in a franchisee model.
Thanks, Sukhmeet. Vikram, you have a question for Sukhmeet?
Thank you. Thank you for that. And some really good initiative. We know waste, burning of crop residue waste is a problem, especially for cities like Delhi, where the airshed sort of gets all the input from the surrounding states without any control, political control anyway. So this is really good. I have one question for you. Based on past experience that we've had in India, particularly with rice husk and other sort of bio waste in terms of securing supply, how do you plan to secure the supply in the longer term with these farmers? Your profit sharing is one aspect, but the more profitable you get, which I hope you do, the more challenging it will be to access and secure waste. We've seen companies go bankrupt in the process trying to do rice husk power. So any thoughts on that, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. I see, your experience in India has given you, the right set of challenges in this field. So we also faced, when we started our business, the first challenge we faced was how do we work with farmers? How do we collect straw? That is one of the most challenging piece. What we realized that the technology can help this. We made an AI model on Google satellite images. First is to identify large tracts of paddy straw being grown. The second step, once we identify, we established a farmer entrepreneur model in which the farmers, we buy the straw from the farmer and also create entrepreneurs who can help us to secure straw from other farmers. So from the starting of the chain, we established an economic model. Now what we want to do is we are moving into higher value technologies, green coal, oil and gas, hydrogen gas basically. So as we move up the chain, we want to actually pass more value back to the farmers. Currently, we pay approximately 3,000 rupees per acre to a farmer for collecting or for giving us the straw. But we know that this increases approximately 15% of the farmer's income. But we want to increase more towards getting more revenue from our customers, then pass somewhat more value back to the farmers. If it's an economic model, it will definitely win. You can, you must be knowing the economic condition of farmers. So 1,000 farmer societies just in Punjab in the last 2 years because they are not able to meet their financial needs. So if we give small incentives in terms of economic returns, they very happily work with us.
Thank you. Maybe you want to call it something other than green coal, but good luck.
Martin has a question for you as well, Sukhmeet.
Sukhmeet, really enjoyed your use of AI to detect also where's your source of biomass. Often an issue around biomass is moving it is costly because a lot of it is water. I'm assuming that maybe you use part of your algorithms to calculate where are better spots for your processing centers and reduce distances. But at the same time, you have both a software component and a R&D component on the fuel side, and there's many different targets that you want to hit on fuels. How are you managing that with your team? Because these are very different skill sets. And also whether you have any thoughts around reducing cost of transports.
So first I'll just mention, yes, the algorithm actually what we made helps us to identify spots. We studied before when we started our organization. I have an mix of academic and industry background. So we did research in terms of why similar models have failed in India. So we identified that what is the X number of kilometers, if you go beyond that, cost of purchase actually will never be viable. So what we said, we will cover 2 villages by 1 plant and then develop the fringe to build monastery plants, the transportation cost is less. Question, we want to always thinking how maximum value we can take. Have very long tie-ups with R&D institutes. We are supported through European Bioenergy Research Institute, plus a lot of other R&D institutes in India are our partners. We work with IIT Chennai and all. So the idea is there is already so much research in universities. What we want to do is take out that research, have partnerships, and then commercialize those technologies. So that is our path, because we can't build R&D teams for each of these products.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, and we did allow you to go a few seconds over. So I'm hoping Martin got some parts of the answer at least. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next up is LifePack, and Claudia Isabel, the founder of LifePack, has dedicated this project to the manufacture and commercialization of packaging made from natural fibers and seeds, with a social and environmentally sustainable model in Colombia and the US. Welcome, Claudia.
Hi, I am Claudia Barona, co-founder for LifePack. Our project is ecological packaging that transforms in life. You know, what are the plastic packaging that is not recycled? You find them in parks, rivers, seas, affecting our environment and will degrade in 500 years. LifePack has a solution. We make compostable packaging made from agriculture waste like pineapple crown, other natural fibers, and seeds. After you use it, if you want, you can plant it in a soil. The product disappears and a plant grows. Examples: fruits, flower, vegetable, etc. We produce plates, cups, spoons, cup sleeves, boxes, and others. The benefits are reforestation areas, low-cost production by using agro-industrial waste, positive carbon footprint using sustainable and social model, and promote bees pollination. The packaging market in the world is $2 billion and grows 6% per year. LifePack increased sales by 98% in 2019. The next step is to sell franchises, replicate business models in other countries, and increase international and online sales. We are in Colombia and United States. The team has 10 years experience developing innovative green products. We provide job opportunities to single mothers and farmers to improve their quality of life. LifePack, the best sustainable packaging company in a better world. Thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. Dr. Tara has a question for you. Tara?
Thank you so much, Claudia. Very much appreciated. I have a question coming from someone who lives in London in an urban area without a garden. And when I saw your presentation, I thought to myself, oh, this is pretty cool. I get the concept that, you can replant this and you contribute to all of these pollination impacts. But my question is, how do you answer to skeptics of your technology who would say, well, if I buy your product, but I have nowhere to grow it, what is the benefit of going with your product rather than having compostable products that already exist on the market?
Okay. If you don't want plastic, this is your question. It's no problem. You can put in the garbage. When gets the landfill, it will disappear. If you want, you put in the compost because our product biodegradable in 4 weeks.
But aren't your competitors also biodegradable?
que los competidores son
Yes,
biodegradables.
yes, but our product is comes to life, and we use agriculture waste. We don't cut trees. We have a low cost production. Excuse me, my partner help me for this answer. Is my partner Andres?
Hello.
Okay. Your question is about if what happens if you don't want put the product into the soil, correct?
Yes, my question is, what is the competitive advantage of your product if I don't want to put it in and replant it vis-a-vis what already exists in the market?
Okay, great. Okay, our packaging, our raw material has the property to grow into a plant after you use, because our technology incorporates seeds embedded in the raw material, and you can get life after you use the product. It is our competitive in compared with the other companies that produce bamboo plates or etc. This is the principal characteristic of our product. Grow plants from the raw material. The plants produce oxygen and reduce the carbon, and for this reason you can get strawberries, carrots, flowers, and trees, and etc. This is a very innovative product. This is it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rion, you had a question for the LifePack team as well?
Thank you. Yes, thanks for the pitch. So I'm just wondering, it seems that, you've had several sales already, and it seems to be a popular product. So I would wonder what would be the next step for you and why you would need financing from this point.
We seek strengthen our industrial process, invest in more technology, generate more employment. We need intellectual property and implement in other countries our business models. We can use different natural fibers from other countries like hash, rice hash, more vegetable, more fruit, whatever.
Thank you, Claudia. We do have 45 seconds on the timer, so we have time for one last really quick question. Vikram, you had a question for Claudia as well.
Yes, quickly, Claudia. Then so it's fantastic. Some of both the product and your business model, particularly the focus on employing women to produce the raw material cardboard. And these are, I presume, effectively informal enterprises, but great for the social impact as well. My question to you is, you have some ambitious plans to expand. How are you going to scale this model, particularly as you go to other countries and need to create a network? Thank you.
Okay. We have researched and used many agricultural ways for testing and had a good results. Our know-how and experience will allow us to successfully replicate a business model. Our idea is to help people to have more jobs. We will always help to them, and the other country we go to will be an essential part of our business model.
We can replicate.
We are out of time, Claudia. Sorry, and you did go 20 seconds over. So thanks very much, Vikram. Hopefully they got to some part of the question that you had for them. All right.
Thank you.
And I think last up we have Sadim International, founded by Mustafa Musa. Sadim International is the pioneer of early warning solutions for flash floods in urban environments, sensing and reporting the flood as a real-time map, accessible from anywhere using the internet in the Middle East and North Africa region.
my name is Esteban Sanchez Canepa, co-founder of SADIM. When I was a kid growing up in Mexico, my hometown got flooded every single year. Years later, I moved to Saudi Arabia as a grad student, and this happened. Floods are the most common natural hazard on this planet. Every year, they are accountable for up to $40 billion of economic losses worldwide, and climate change will worsen that. We have identified part of the problem as a lack of information about the severity, the propagation of the floods in the streets in real time. This is where SADIM comes into the picture. But let me tell you how it works. We deploy our novel sensors around an urban area affected by floods. When a flood is about to happen, we transmit the important information to the concerned entities, such as emergency response teams. With this tool, we can increase the city resilience and decrease economic losses up to 30%, thanks to avoiding situations like the picture at the beginning. A smart city market is booming as we speak. We have two customer segments: city planners, the government; service providers, integrators who are already selling to the government. We have 5 sources of revenues, from direct sales to consultation. Currently, we have projects in 10 cities and 4 countries. By 2021, we want to reach 6 countries and an annual revenue of more than $5 million. One of our main projects is with the government of Medina in Saudi Arabia. This city receives millions of pilgrims every year, and the government has trusted our technology to implement a flood and traffic warning system around the Holy Mosque area, with a notification window up to 6 hours before any major event. We provide a complete solution to our clients. Our sensor is the only one in the market able to monitor flood and traffic phenomena at the same time on a 24/7 basis. We have 2 patents protecting it. Our multicultural team shows our diversity, from scientists to marketing specialists. For many of us, this has been our life for the past 9 years, first as researchers and over the past 3 years as full-time entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that final pitch. Asaf, you have a question for Esteban?
Yeah. Hi, Esteban. Congratulations for building such a multicultural and impressive team. Can you expand a little bit about the technological side? So, assuming you have a camera and sensors seeing or sensing water, how can you foresee floods in the future? So, while you don't have water yet, right?
Thank you very much, Asaf, for the question. So, just to clarify, we are not using any cameras. All the sensors we're using are basically 2 technologies. It's based on infrared and ultrasonic, and a lot of research behind that to basically monitor the water level and the traffic flow with these 2 technologies. So what we do is that we measure the water level since 2 centimeters. There are 2 centimeters on the ground of water level. That's how we start detecting. And also we're learning from historic data. Every time there is a flood, we're going to be ready the next time, because we get all this amount of data to mitigate the situation, then to analyze the data. Just to show you, this is actually the sensor. So it's easy to deploy. You can see here the 2 sensors. So there is no camera, there is no complexity on the sensor. So we can ship it anywhere, and it can be easily installed.
Thank you. Tara, you had a question for Esteban as well?
Yeah, thank you so much, Esteban. I really liked your presentation, and I think you guys are on a really good track here overall with the type of technology and approach you have. I've heard quite a bit about similar kind of approaches, and my question was about artificial intelligence to be used to predict future impacts of flooding and give early warning responses. There's a lot of work done with the European Commission on funding these type of projects. Is this something that you're looking into the future? That would be quite interesting to hear. And then secondly, I didn't see much about in your pitch decks around traffic monitoring, and I wanted to know what kind of information you're actually gathering and reporting on the traffic monitoring in particular at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. So to answer your first question, yeah, we're actually analyzing the possibility to expand our solutions. We're right now what we call data gathering while providing a solution to cities. So all this data will be analyzed and used with our scientist background and our basically team members to be able to predict with more days in advance any floods. we know that the earlier we can predict the flood, the less impact it will have overall on the citizens. Yeah, so that's basically.
But have you looked into satellite imagery as well?
Yes, yeah. Actually, there is a colleague, an entrepreneur also, that is doing satellite imaging, and we see it this way. They are doing the macro analysis of the flood, and we do the micro on a city level, on a road level, which is also important. So you want to see the regional flood situation, but also the micro on the roads, which neighborhoods are more critical than other ones. So that is how we complement, actually. Actually, one of our goals is to do like a common project between the two of us. Then the traffic. So the flood and traffic are highly related. These two phenomena appear when there is a rainy situation in a city. So in terms of flood, without any cameras, we can measure the traffic flow, speed estimation, and even do a vehicle classification. Also pavement temperature. All these parameters with the single sensor, it's really efficient for a city. So they can have more data without investing in more sensors. With this, we can basically tell them not only the flow, but the kind of flow. For example, now with the COVID situation, we saw a lot of heavy-duty vehicles related to the fact that they were spreading food around the supermarkets and all that. So all this social behavior, we can basically also observe it in our sensors.
Thank you.
We do have 30 seconds left, and Esteban, you'll have to be really quick to answer the final question.
Okay.
Martin, do you have a question for Esteban as well?
Esteban, yes. So this falls a bit on climate adaptation. I'd love to understand a bit more exactly how do you build resilience with the real-time data? How does that translate into action at the city level once you detect a flood? And have you considered working with insurance companies to create better baselines around how your data and your response system actually reduces impact costs?
Yeah, so quickly, we create a window from 30 minutes to 6 hours. We transmit the warnings to the government and to the citizens, if that's the case. So that's how we start building resilience. We want to collaborate with, for example, weather predictions, so we can do it with more time in advance. Yeah, so I don't have much time, but yeah, I hope that answered most of your question.
Thank you, Esteban. And that was it. Those were all of our top 5 startups. So thank you very much for pitching here today. And just a quick reminder before we move on to other things during the course of the event is that more than 400 applications came through with this round of the Pitch Hub competition, narrowed down to 40 top projects, and from there the 5 finalists that we're all hearing from today. So a big round of applause to you guys. Congratulations on making it this far, and may the best startup win. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Paula for the audience choice voting. Paula, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Shilpa, and thank you for all the finalists and judges for those pitches and that Q&A. So as the judges deliberate for the winner, now it's time for you to choose your favorite project. So scan the QR code with your phone's camera or go to slido.com #pitch2020 and vote for your favorite project. And this poll will last till the end of the video that will be playing on the next slide. It's the Pitch Hub highlights from last year in Singapore.
The Pitch Hub competition is essentially finding climate-smart solutions that have transformation impact, supporting cities in reducing their emissions or increasing their resilience to climate change. The Pitch Hub competition saw over 200 submissions across 81 countries. These 200 plus submissions were looked at by 40 experts, further narrowed down to 30, and from the 30, we've shortlisted 5 top startups to present to a live judging panel here in Singapore.
Hi, I'm Vincent Bakker from the Netherlands.
My name is Islay Lacoze, and I'm from Wanda Kigali.
Hi, I'm Pipo Reiser, and I'm from Lima, Peru.
I am Sergei Shoker, I am from Russia.
I'm Neil, based in Cape Town, South Africa.
One piece of advice I would give to my younger self is find a problem that you care enough about so that you are willing to invest every day of your life to solving it.
I told my younger self to forget about my weaknesses and focus on the strengths.
Be you, develop your passion, and network.
Just go ahead and try to save the world.
Keep taking all those risks.
Reducing food waste has been recognized as the third most important thing we can do to fight climate change. And that's why we created the Simba cycle. So we help businesses implement sustainable waste management solutions.
So this is our solution, the Mellow Cab. It's a fully electric light vehicle designed and manufactured in South Africa for the developing world. Almost a quarter of all CO2 emissions are from urban transport.
We make glass smart. The technology is the only color smart glass technology in the world. It switches instantly.
Inspired by the new wave of circular economy, we are bringing a mobile app that connects recycling industries with households to transact electronic waste.
Our mission is to reimagine the energy funding process and with that, accelerate the deployment of renewable assets globally. Our digital platform makes financing of renewable energy projects cheaper, easier and faster.
The most obvious criteria for evaluation of these projects was the forest climate impact. But over and above that, essentially what we're looking for is feasibility, scalability, and the transformational impact that these projects can have on developing countries. A pitch competition is never really complete without an audience. We're excited to announce not just a winner decided by the judging panel, but also by a popular audience vote.
I was very happy to see so many innovators proposing new solutions to tackle the issues of climate and sustainability.
Entrepreneurs are really needed to make us think outside of the box, this role of innovation, thinking of new solutions that might actually have potential in new markets. I think this is a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs to occupy that space.
Solutions which they have put forth are very innovative and exciting.
I would like to say more entrepreneurs to devote their efforts and their genius into finding new solutions.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Isabel Saldarriaga from the World Bank for an interview with last year's Pitch Hub winner, People Riser of Simba. Isabel, to you.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you to all the finalists, and good luck to them. People, are you there? Yep.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'm Isabel Saldarriaga, an External Affairs Officer at the World Bank, and I'm very happy to be having this Pitch Hub live. So while the judges deliberate in another room and you vote for your favorite company on Slido, I'm excited to welcome People, last year's winner, for a quick catch-up. People is the Director de Alianzas, the Simba. And People, thank you again for joining us today. For those who are not familiar with Simba, can you please tell us a little bit about the company?
Yeah, sure. I thought they were going to answer for me. Yes, I can tell you a little bit about Simba. So Simba is a company very much inspired in zero waste and circular economy movements all across the world. And what we found is that actually, if we look at municipal solid waste, the kind of waste you generate in cities, more than half of it is organic waste. And in most recycling systems, especially in a place like Peru, organic waste is not considered as recyclable waste. But really, there are over 20 technologies that are validated and that work across the world to give this kind of waste a new life. And it's actually that we also found that organic waste is the type of waste that generates the most greenhouse gas emissions, because they're usually going to landfills and decomposing. And actually, it's in landfills the waste that would generate the most pollution. And so we started pitching to restaurants to see if we could get some of their organic waste so we could test some of these solutions. And we ended up deciding to go with technology to turn organic waste into feed for animals. And so we work with small farmers around the city of Lima to turn that food waste back into feed for animals. And we close the cycle by connecting these farmers back to the food business that we started out with. So we're kind of able to close the loop in a sense.
Yeah, very interesting. And so last time we saw you, it was in Singapore during the first pitch of competition. Could you give us an update on Simba since then?
Yes, absolutely. We've been really working hard. We've prepared. We're finishing up our seed round of funding, so we've actually raised almost all the capital we need, and we're planning on expanding our capacity to a plant that can process about 80 tons. So right now we're at a max capacity of around 10 tons. So that's an 8-fold increase. Which is the model that we then seek to replicate in other places. So we're already looking at where would we then put this, because the logistics is complicated. So it makes sense to have a distributed model with many of these plants all across even a city like Lima, which has 10 million people. And then we were actually in our biggest growth phase in February and March, but then we got quarantined in March 16th. So we had kind of our highest high, and then we've come to our lowest low. Right now we're operating at around 20% of our before quarantine capacity. But we've really taken this moment. We've had 3 months almost to really kind of rethink a lot of things, and we've taken this moment to rethink our strategies, and we think that eventually this moment is going to make us come back stronger.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. Challenging times for everyone, for sure. And speaking of which, we are doing this competition in a very different format, a very different world. It's been a challenge for us as well, challenging us to pivot to different things. Is this bringing any memories from last year and from I4C and the competition? Maybe if you can share a little bit of what you gained, what you learned from it. Like I said, it's very different for this year's finalists, but if we can get some of your learning and experience.
Yeah, and I love these kinds of things. I enjoy them as a participant. I enjoy them as an observer, and I think the judges are going to have a big challenge to pick a winner, because I think they're all great and they're so diverse and they all have kind of their own value that I think that it's amazing. It's just an amazing opportunity to in 1 hour to get a really amazing shot of inspiration for me. And I think I hope they've been the finalists have been able to connect, because I do remember that last year that was just one amazing aspect, to be able to spend some time together and actually have all these workshops that we had, and to be able to even just travel to Singapore, which for me was my first time in Asia ever, was quite an experience. So I think that enjoy the moment and take away the questions from the judges are always good indicators of where you need to be looking in terms of where you need to strengthen your organization. So there's a lot to take out of these moments and these events.
Thank you for your words. And so you watched them. You joined us a little bit late, but I think you were able to watch most of them. Yes. Which one did you find more exciting? And yeah.
Exciting. I think all of them are exciting, but the food waste problem is very close to my heart. Yeah. So I was kind of inclined to that, and we do work with smallholder farmers, and we do see kind of the challenges they have. And I think that one thing that's happened with modernization is that we've stopped valuing the people that are actually putting the food on our plate. And I think that anyone that's working to help them do that better, and to value, so that we can value, and to provide more value for them. We see that in Peru. We see all these small farmers that do just backbreaking work, 12 hours a day, wake up at 4 a.m, and they're getting paid, pennies for what they do. And so I had to go, my heart is close to that one, to Freshbox. But, I think that all of them have done a really great work.
Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there, but yeah, definitely COVID, I think it's having us rethink how all our systems might be put in value where we could redirect or put elsewhere, and what is essential, really. Yeah. So do you have any advice for the entrepreneurs? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, from what I can see, these are pretty seasoned entrepreneurs, and they probably should be giving me the advice. But I think that the kind of the learning that's come out of this phase for us is that really keep kind of an open mind and an open will to always, pivot and see new opportunities. There's so many things that sometimes when we're working on kind of our specific solution, there are so many things happening around and so many kind of tangent values that we're creating that I think it's important to think of an organization, not just in terms of kind of value proposition and growth, but also in terms of resilience. And one really kind of easy example of this has been that to operate our waste management service, we have started putting together kind of a catalog of products that we can also provide. And due to kind of the new COVID protocols, a lot of the companies have had to buy a lot of these products that are, coincidentally in our catalog. So while we have stopped providing our service, it's helped us a lot to be much more resilient and to get a little bit of sales to be able to help us sustain the organization, not have to fire people because we know it's going to come back. And the last thing we want to do is to have to put the people that, are part of our team through a difficult situation right now. And so I think it's interesting to think of your organization. How can you make an organization much more resilient? How can you find multiple cash flows, from what you're doing, find values that you may not be looking at? And this was actually one of the things that I learned from one of my mentors from winning I4C. So a big shout out to that. That's been they've really helped us kind of gain this vision in the past year.
No, very, very cool and good for us to know. So thank you for that. So we call ourselves Innovate4Climate, and around the theme of innovation, why do you think it's important, and what advice would you give to I was going to say young, but I don't think that entrepreneurs today, as you say, are necessarily young, but let's say inexperienced entrepreneurs who have an idea and want to go forward. What's your suggestion? How do they get started?
I think I always tell people that are starting out. Oops, sorry, getting a call here. Apologize for that.
Abhinav, and I was looking at you because you're right on my, you're the one I see on the screen. Sorry, people.
All right, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I always tell entrepreneurs that are starting out, usually when we start a business or we start, wanting to solve some problem, we fall in love with our idea and we think, it's the greatest idea ever and it's going to be an amazing, make an amazing impact and turn into a huge company. And sometimes kind of that falling in love makes us not see, other things. And I think that it's more important to fall in love with the problem that you're trying to solve than to fall in love with your idea, because your idea may not be the best solution to that specific problem. So get to know the problem really kind of deeply, understand its causes, understand its roots, understand if it's a problem for other people, understand your users, understand your potential clients, and then start designing your solution. And a lot of times we go the other way around. We think, I had this idea for an app or something, and then we fall in love with that and we start building it, and we haven't even spent time to really get to know what is the problem that we're trying to solve. So that would be, my starting point.
Thank you. I love that concept of not getting attached. It's so easy to get attached to what you're doing that you don't see what else is out there. Right. And I think it goes along with your theme of resilience. I mean, if you focus on the problem and then something else happens, then you are able to figure out other ways of providing a solution. So I want to check in on the judges because we're wrapping up here. Okay, yeah, I think I can ask you one last question. Beyond COVID and beyond where we are right now in the last couple of months, what is the biggest challenge you think entrepreneurs are facing right now? And I know it's hard to detach ourselves from the pandemic and the uncertainty of what's to come. But if we think back of a scenario more traditional, more normal, what are key challenges that entrepreneurs are facing nowadays?
Yeah, I think a lot of times entrepreneurship is seen, like it was tennis, like an individual sport. And from my experience, it is everything but that. And so, there's a saying that says, it takes a community to raise a child. Well, I think it takes a community to raise a startup, actually. And so it's very important to kind of see entrepreneurship as an kind of ecosystem-driven movement. And so ecosystem means that there are very, very many different actors that are collaborating to make it happen. And so, for example, in Peru, it's a huge challenge to get investors for an early stage startup. There's that part of the ecosystem is just not that developed. And I think that in a lot of developing countries, it's probably the same. And so I think a lot of great ideas and a lot of great teams just kind of don't find the other aspects that are necessary, or maybe they have a great solution, but their clients are just not geographically where they're located. So I think there are a lot of challenges in that sense, where we need to kind of build the ecosystem and build, I think, also the narratives. There's a lot of countries where being an entrepreneur is not necessarily seen as maybe that's a successful person, that people would rather be, would rather their kids be a doctor or whatever, So I think that it's just kind of recognizing the value of entrepreneurship, and definitely that's different in different types in different parts of the world. But I know that a lot of the developing country people probably can relate to what I'm saying. And then I think, we have a very, very big role to play, because we need to be, the problems that we're facing need quick solutions. And a lot of the kind of established bigger organizations have a lot of trouble providing that. And so I think that we really have kind of the advantage to be the little mouse that can move quickly from one place to another and develop things really fast. But we do need to be connected to that bigger ecosystem if we really want to make a big systemic change. And I think that is where a lot has to be done still for especially people that are innovating in developing countries.
Yeah, thank you. So you guys, I don't know, it seems the judges are still deliberating. So it seems like it's a tough competition today. I mean, we've already 4 minutes over time. So what about our finalists today? Do you have questions for people? Maybe they can be a little bit more specific than what I can ask, Abhinav, or others.
No, I love what you're doing, Paipo. Would love to connect after this because we've been looking at some of those models as well, and it's great to see somebody working on that part of the world. And there's definitely a lot of wastage. And no, it's good to see everybody. I was just talking to some of you. It's good to see all our pitches are really great, especially some of us were on Friday pitching and practicing. So it's really great to see everybody pitch so well. And it doesn't really matter who the winner is today. I just love all the solutions. So I want to collaborate with everybody and then see all these things be here where I'm working, or all our solutions working all over the world. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, so great work. That's an amazing from ways to actually feed. Wanted to check, you mentioned initially that you are also raising some funds and almost closed your funding round. So, from an investor point of view, was that a completely, commercial VC kind of negotiation, or the investors do value sustainability or climate change, those things were valued, or it was just a commercial thing?
Yeah, that is a great question. So for us, it's our seed round. So it's the first time we actually kind of open up our doors for other people to come in. It's not a huge round of investing. So our goal was to raise $300,000. So it's not like we need kind of the huge investors. And we did aim for a lot of those in the beginning. And finally, what has happened is that we've connected better or kind of more efficiently, I think, with local small investors that are just people, just people that may have, $5 to $30 extra, $1,000 that they're wanting to invest somewhere different. And I think a lot of the investors, for us, it hasn't been kind of a pure business decision, but it's been something where they've connected with the purpose of what they're doing and they want to support us. And so that's been cool because it's not only like, here's my money, I hope you pay it back 5 times in a couple of years or something, but it's been more, I'm happy to invest in you, and how can I help you in other aspects as well? Is there a strategic value? Can I, connect you with potential clients? I know these and these and these people. And so I think that it's been much more of kind of a natural fit for us in this stage where we're at. I think obviously if we go kind of bigger than that, we'll probably have to look to more institutional investors, but it has actually worked much better. And once we went down that path, people that invest, usually know other people that would be willing to invest. And so it's been like, hey, I just invested in this cool company, to their friends, and then their friends would be like, oh, I may be interested. And actively asking for that has actually worked pretty well too. Hey, do you know anybody that might be willing to invest with you? And they've been like, oh yeah, actually I have these 3 friends that could be interested. And so I think that's actually been a pretty good strategy for us. And we did aim much more for kind of bigger institutional impact investors. So we've looked at a lot of the impact investment space, but like I said, in Peru, it's not that we have kind of impact investors on every corner. So it's worked better in the other direction. It's been much more straightforward, I think, in the negotiation. It's been kind of more a person-to-person deal than kind of an institution-to-institution deal where all these policies get involved and processes take more time also.
Okay, thank you, people, thank you. We're happy to connect you. As you know, we have the celebration sort of like virtual session after this, so it would be great if you connect. That's part of why we do this, to create that network and that community. I understand the judges are back. This is it, and so Shilpa, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Isabel. People, it's good to see you again. A whole year later, and virtually. So always fun to go through the deliberation process with the judges. And one of the judges, I won't name the judge, said it's almost like betting on which horse will win here. So because I was putting immense amounts of pressure on them, saying we're on a clock, we've got to go back and announce the winner. So without more delay there, I'm going to hand over to Bernice van Bronckhorst, the Director of Climate Change Group at the World Bank, who will do the honors of announcing the winners today. Bernice, over to you.
Many thanks, Shilpa and everyone. And again, thank you everyone for joining us here today. So I'm really excited to be able to announce the I4C Pitch Hub competition winners on behalf of the World Bank and I4C. So, without further ado, the Audience Choice Award is going to Sadim International. Congratulations.
Woo, thank you.
It's interesting sound effects. All right, third place. In third place, we have A2P Energy Solutions. Congratulations. And as a runner-up, we have Freshbox Rwanda, congratulations. And finally, and of course not least, the winner of the Innovate4Climate Pitch Up Competition 2020 is, no drum roll, Sadim International. Congratulations, wonderful. But really, all of your efforts and all of your proposals were outstanding. It was even difficult to get to the short list, as I'm sure was mentioned earlier, and it's just wonderful to see this competition go from strength to strength every year. And really, many, many congratulations to all of you. And we're just can't wait to see what will be next year and the year after, and really excited to see and looking forward to see all the impact that you guys will make into making this a better world moving forward. So. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Sadim International for a few words.
Thank you very much. It's hard to speak, to be honest, but thank you. I mean, it's really amazing to share the stage with such amazing entrepreneurs. I really love seeing all the pitches, and let's keep it up, guys. And thank you. It's really much appreciated. It's just the payoff of a lot of efforts from many people in our team. I'm just presenting, but there is a lot of people behind supporting all these ideas and this technology that we have done. So, much appreciated.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our winners, to all the startups who participated, to all the judges who took their time evaluating these great proposals, to Bernice for announcing the winners on behalf of the World Bank and the I4C team, and to all of you attending and participating in this incredible event. We hope you can keep tuned for the next edition of the World Bank Innovate4Climate Pitch Hub competition. There are amazing projects out there and that will change the future of the world, and it's in our hands to help them grow and make an impact in their full capacities. If you're interested in contacting us or any of the finalists, please feel free to email us at innovate4climate@worldbank.org. We hope to see you in our upcoming virtual sessions. Follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated on any news or events. Again, thank you, everybody, and hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.